All right, we are going to do 4-3. The warm-up is to find the trig coordinates. So you can go ahead and start with that and then move on. So now what we're doing is we're kind of putting it all together. Last section we learned that if we could find tangent, then we knew theta, and then we could do our trig coordinates from there. Today we're going to use tangent, so you're going to be given tangent, which will give us x and y. We can use the x and the y to find r, and then we're going to have everything we need to know to find sine, cosine, tangent, cosecant, secant, and cotangent. So we're going to find all 6 functions just by being given tangent. So tangent's y over x, so when you're given tangent, you already know your coordinates, okay? Then you use those coordinates to find r with your distance formula, and then you use r to find all the other functions, okay? So this really isn't too much more work than what we've been doing. We just have to find r, which we know how to do. So determine x and y given tangent. So that's simple because tangent is just y over x. So the number on the top of the fraction is going to be your y coordinate. The number on the bottom of your fraction is going to be your x coordinate. Once you know x and y, you can find r in your distance formula. And then don't lose sight of what quadrant you're in so that you can make sure you get the positives and the negatives right. Okay? Okay. I'm going to zoom in so that you don't have all the answers right in front of you right away. And I'm going to walk you through what we need to do. So this says that tangent is negative radical 5 over 2. So in general, this fraction is negative, and we'll get to that part. Let's just focus on the actual numbers. If this is your tangent, so we have radical 5 over 2 as your tangent. Tangent is y over x. So that way we know our ordered pair right off the bat is 2 and radical 5. Okay, that's our point on the outside of the circle, which is good information to know. Now, we knew that tangent was negative, so one of these numbers has to be negative. And then this says that sine is greater than 0, which means sine is positive. So we need to know which quadrant sine's positive and tangent's negative. Well, we'll start with tangent. Tangent goes every other, positive, negative, positive, negative. Sine goes with y, which is up to be positive, so the only place where up and tangent's negative is quadrant 2. So in quadrant 2, the x value is the negative one. So the fact that the whole fraction was negative just meant one of those numbers was negative. It wasn't necessarily the top number, it was the whole fraction ended up negative. So we had to figure out first what quadrant we were in to know whether it was the x coordinate or the y coordinate that was negative, which now we know it's the x. So my actual coordinate is negative 2 and radical 5. Okay? So this is negative 2 and y is radical 5. So since tangent's negative, sine's positive, we're in quadrant 2. That's what we just discussed. So we already have all that good work done. Then we're going to use our distance formula to find r. So I'm just going to copy this down. And we know how to find our distance formula pretty easily. So we just, since our second point is just our origin, then you don't really have to worry about it. So this is just your x coordinate squared and your y coordinate squared. So negative 2 squared is 4. Radical 5 squared falls out as a 5. 4 plus 5 is 9, but we're still in the root. So take the square root, and our official r value is 3. So r is 3. If I know x, y, and r, which I do, here's my x, here's my y, and there's my r, I know all of my other functions, which is the goal. Okay? So sine is y over r, cosine is x over r, and I know x, y, and r, so I can find these. My y value was radical 5, and it was positive, so my sine is going to be radical 5 over 3, because my r was 3. And then our x value is negative radical 2, so my cosine is negative 2 over 3. Okay? Which all the answers are right there as well, but just how, so you know where they came from. So sine is y over r, cosine is x over r, and we found the x and the y because we were given tangent, and then we found r using our distance formula. This one gives us tangent and then asks us to find all of our other functions. So first of all, sine, they should all have thetas, that bugs me. Sine, cosine, tangent, theta, okay. If we know tangent, then you automatically know cotangent. So you should be jumping down here automatically and flipping it and doing -4/3. So you're already partway done. Now, tangent is y over x. So my coordinate is 4 and 3. Again, we don't know which one's negative and which one's positive yet. My whole fraction's negative, which means only one of those numbers, x or y, is negative. So tangent's negative, which puts us in 2 or 4 because it goes every other. And then we have to use the other piece of information to narrow it down. So secant, which goes with cosine, is greater than 0. So we need somewhere where tangent is negative, but cosine, going with your x, is positive. So the x and the cosine and the tangent are in their proper place in 4. So we're in quadrant 4. In quadrant 4, the x is positive and the y is negative, so that makes my -3 the negative number of the two. Okay? Once I know x and y, I use them to find r. Oops. So you use your distance formula, square your x, square your y, add them together. So I'm doing 4 and -3. 4 squared is 16. -3 squared is 9. 16 and 9 gives us 25. And then we can take the square root, giving us that r is 5. So now I have x and y and r. So I can find all these other functions. Sine is y over r. So y is -3. And r is 5. Cosine is x over r, which will be 4 over 5. And then I just have to flip them. Secant goes with cosine, so that's 5/4. Cosecant goes with sine, so that's -5/3. And that's it. Okay? X over r, y over r. You need to know x and y and r. Okay, 4/3.